Shelf-stable eggs. How many of you like eating eggs for breakfast? Isn't it nice to have fresh eggs? You open the refrigerator, there's your eggs. What happens if there's no eggs in the grocery store? Here about a year ago, the price of eggs was more expensive than the price of a gallon of gasoline. How ridiculous is that? Right? You feed the chicken, it shoots out eggs. It's not rocket science. Why are we paying this much money for eggs? That's what they're trying to do. Now, if there's no electricity, it doesn't matter how many eggs you got stashed in the refrigerator, they're going to go bad. You cannot keep the eggs long term without some type of preservation. Refrigeration will work. Would you eat an egg that had been sitting in your refrigerator for a year and a half?
No.
Why not?
Because it's going to be heat inside.
It's not going to be good, is it? What if I told you there's a way that you can preserve your eggs, no pressure canner, no electricity, no freezer, no refrigerator, and your eggs will last you from a year to a year and a half and will still taste just as good when you cook it as a fresh egg? Baloney, you say. There's no such method. This is called water glassing. Have you ever turned water glass before?
I do it.
Yeah. Well, you want to give a quick testimony about it then?
No, but it works.
No, but it works. Tastes just the same?
That's a quick testimony.
Works just the same?
Yep.
How long you been doing that, Rick?
No, I've been doing it for almost forever, but they say usually about 75 days, maybe 90 days, not 79 days, 7 to 9 months is
Once
what I've
I've
heard.
watched said a year to year and a half, and you put a label on it when you get done. Now this one, we almost messed up, honey. You have to use hydrated lime. How many of you know what hydrated lime is? It's the same thing as pickling lime. But if you go buy pickling lime, they charge you arm and a leg. You can go down to southern states and for $16 get a great big bag, which we have. And I had it in the car because I didn't know where else to keep it. And we were bringing everything out, and I brought all the stuff to show you. And my lovely wife is going to assist me because she's got tiny little hands and can stick her hand with the egg inside of the jar. I can't do that with my meat hooks. You want to start putting eggs in the jar, please? So, I got a big bag of hydrated lime. You have to use a solution of hydrated lime and clean, pure water. Now, since the water that comes from the well of the church isn't up to right in there, in that box, I packed them so that they wouldn't get rattled around the throat. Handle gently.
Right.
Always remember, handle the eggs gently. You do not want to crack the egg. If you crack the egg when you do this process, I watched the guy pull one out that was cracked, and it was green and nasty.
And
But you couldn't
stunk.
get the dog to eat that, and it stunk.
Can you all
So,
see?
hang on, they're just eggs. There's no hocus pocus. At this point, we're just putting eggs in the jar. You have to use clean, pure water. If you have city water, you cannot use it. It's got fluoride and chlorine in it. It is no good. You're going to have to go get you some spring water from the grocery store or go to somebody's house like us that has really good well water and get good well water. If it's full of iron and stuff, I wouldn't use it because chances are it might taint the flavor of the eggs. Now the hydrated lime dissolves in the water. So I looked this up. I'm real curious. Anybody else in here curious? I want to know, how does this work? I know they said it works, but how does it work? Well, you have to use fresh eggs unwashed. That means it might have a little bit of a racing stripe on it on the outside. Don't wash that off. But when the chicken lays the egg, it comes out with a membrane on it that preserves the egg. And that's why you can take fresh laid eggs that haven't been washed and you can leave them on the countertop for weeks before they go bad. But you can't do that with the ones that are washed, because when you wash it, it opens the pores on the eggshell. When you put the unwashed eggs into the solution, the hydrated lime bonds to the outside, that membrane that protects that egg, and it seals it so that no bacteria can get into that egg. And then when you take it out, make sure you clean it really good. That's when you wash it and get all that stuff off. Because if you try to crack that egg and get some of that lime on the outside of that shell in that egg, nasty. It's not going to taste good.
Did you also tell them about the cracks?
Yeah, I told them about the crack.
Okay.
So we got the jar of water from the house. I had the bag of lime in the back of the car, and I was unloading the car, and I happened to think, hey, dummy, if you didn't open the bag, you don't have anything to put to make the solution with. So I had to hurry up and open up the bag, got lime all over my hands, and I put it into this other container. And my wife doesn't like plastic. But I watched on the videos, they all use plastic 5-gallon buckets. I don't recommend that. That's too much weight and it's too easy for your eggs to crack. Use a smaller container. It doesn't matter, these Maxwell House things, we go through one of these a month anyhow. So you don't have to do them all at the same time. So if you get a dozen eggs from the farmer that are unwashed and unrefrigerated, you go ahead and take those and you put them into your container. If the container's not full, no worries. Take your painter's tape, put it on there, and write the date you began putting eggs into it. And then when you get more eggs and you top that one off and it's full, and you're finished and you put the lid on, write the date when it got completed. So then again, you rotate your stock based on the oldest one, the oldest date gets used first. Then you just put this underneath of the countertop somewhere where it's a fairly constant temperature. You don't have to mess with it. Just make sure it has a lid to keep the solution from drying out. Because if the egg starts to be exposed because you didn't cover the lid, you didn't put a lid on it, and that water evaporated, the egg that's showing out through the water ain't gonna be any good. It has to stay covered. Everybody say has to stay covered.
Has to stay covered.
So here, the hydrated lime looks basically like powdered sugar. And if you guys want to try this, my wife and I are willing to bless you. We brought a whole big box full of baggies, and I got more hydrated lime than I'm going to use in 20 years during this process. I will gladly share it with you. It takes 1 ounce per quart of water. That's it. All right, so honey, we got a digital scale over here, and I don't know how to use complicated stuff like that. Back in my day, we used triple beans, but we're not going to say what we were weighing. So I looked it up on the internet, being the curious individual I am. How many of you know how many dry ingredients, how you measure an ounce of dry ingredients if you're not going to use a scale?
Spoons.
Yeah, who knows how much measurement makes an ounce? 4 tablespoons of dry equals 1 ounce weight. That's good to know.
And wet is?
If it's liquid, 2 tablespoons equals 1 weight ounce. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, because we got 2 quarts in there, so that means we need how many tablespoons? 8. Very good.
Level.
Always paying attention.
Well, here, you do it then.
Thank you. Ethan, well, he is a baby.
I don't mind. I'll let you play with the stuff.
How many am I doing? 8?
8. 1,
Yeah, count with y'all.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, put another half, because a couple had one full all the way back. That's good. Now all you got to do is just stir it up, and it'll be cloudy, but once it settles out, that water will go right back to clear, and you'll be able to see those eggs in the jar. They look so pretty sitting on the shelf. The plastic one, you won't be able to see them, but they're still in there. You can use a crock. It doesn't have to be a bucket. If you've got a big, heavy ceramic crock, you want to put them in that, that's fine. Just make sure you put some kind of a lid on it to keep that solution from evaporating. Plus it keeps bugs out or whatever, you know. It's just a sanitary way to look at doing things. What's she going for? A spoon to stir it with? All right, once she stirs that all up, then we're just going to pour enough of that in there to cover those eggs, put the lid on it, write the date on it, on the shelf it goes. That's all you got to do.
You gotta make sure you cover the egg.
The eggs have to be covered, yes. Just like when your water bath cannon, you gotta cover the jar, you have to make sure the solution covers the eggs. That's,
You leave an inch.
well, they don't care about the headspace on that, it won't matter, it's not going to get cooked.
Okay.
You're not putting it under pressure, all you're doing is making the solution, putting the fresh, unwashed eggs in the container of your choice, pouring enough solution to cover the eggs, and that's it. Write it down. And then you use the oldest eggs first. Is that how you do yours?
Mhm.
Yep. Hey, he's a smart guy. If he just said that's how you do it, I just got brownie points.
So the solution that you have left in that, you can use.
Yeah, you just put a lid on it and then wait till you start your next jar. It's not going to go bad. It's just hydrated lime. It can't spoil, it can't go bad, there's nothing that can go wrong with it. And like I said, we got a whole bunch of baggies. So all we got to do is take a measuring cup and scoop the outer cover so and put the baggie, you can take it home and then you can go ahead and try it for yourself. If you guys want to go together and have one of you go get a bag of hydrated lime for $16 and 4 of you put in $4, then you can get a quarter of a bag. And I'm telling you, wait till you see this bag of lime I got out here. This thing's a monster.
It's a monster.
I don't know how many pounds is that, you know? Like a
25, 25, I think.
pound bag or something like that.
It's 25, Gene.
25 pounds at least, and you're only talking about using 4 tablespoons per quart? Really? I'll be all old and gray and no teeth and no hair and can't see before that bag's going to be empty.
Easy.
You're bald because you shave your head. Yeah, Rick.
If you're wondering where you can get the eggs, Matt
Yeah.
will sell you shelf-stable eggs that have been just laid, and because he washes all of his eggs,
Yep.
because people want the egg clean. If they're washed, you cannot use them. Now, if you buy them from Matt and you put them in the refrigerator and they get cold and you take them out to do this process,
Can't do that either.
you can't do that because the condensation will dissolve the membrane and then it's no longer
That's no
usable.
good. So that's why I told you, farm fresh, unwashed, and non-refrigerated eggs. Nothing else. Now, you see people that sell farm fresh eggs, they got signs for fresh eggs, fresh eggs, fresh eggs all over the place. If you got a neighbor that sells eggs, go talk to them, tell them you want to buy some eggs, tell them I want them unwashed and do not refrigerate them. And most people know what the water glassy is, so they know that's what you're going to do with them. They're like, oh, okay, no problem. You want 2 dozen, you want 3 dozen, put it in order, and they'll fill the order for you. You take them, and then all you got to do is that. It'll take you 10 minutes to do it. It took her longer to put the eggs in than it does anything. But that's because she wanted to use that fancy glass jar. If you use the Maxwell House thing I'm talking about, I can stick my whole hand down in there, and I could put them eggs in there pretty easy. I'd be scared to death of cracking those eggs. Once you get your container filled, handle with care, because one cracked egg turns the water green. When you take the lid off, it should look like it's got a little skip of ice on top of it. That's the hydrated lime kind of turns solid, and you just kind of poke that and it'll open up, and then you can see the nice clear water of the eggs underneath. When they took that lid off that one that had the cracked eggs in it, that water looked like bile. It was kind of nasty green looking, and it didn't take long for them to start finding the cracked eggs. Okay?
Can I put this in there now?
Yeah, did you stir it up?
Yeah?
Is it dissolved?
No.
No, you gotta stir it till it dissolves.
Oh. So sorry.
Shake it real hard.
Yeah. Funny, ain't she?
I make a mess in the sanctuary, Martha's gonna kill me.
Oh, no, I think she was talking about the jar with the eggs in it.
Oh. Do you shake yours? Do you do this? Oh.
Yeah,
Does the lime break down in a plastic container? Like
No,
break down
no,
a plastic
no,
container?
no.
it
Now-
won't hurt a thing. It's in
now-
a paper bag.
Oh,
Right, sometimes when they open it up, like some of the lime will settle at the bottom,
there'll be
and
some-
it'll like get a crystal like on top, like ice.
Yeah, just
But
like a
you
little
just break,
skip of ice.
you know, gently break through that.
But that milky color will dissipate after that's been dissolved and sits in there. It'll end up clearing up and it won't be milky anymore. You'll just see nice pretty eggs in a glass jar.
Yeah.
Now, I've always heard, don't wash the eggs, they'll last fine, room temperature for however long, and then refrigerated for however long. A friend recently told me that she bought eggs from someone, and they said, just submerge them in water, they'll last longer, just take them home. And so that was the first time I've heard about eggs submerged in water. The lime, I trust you, I believe you, but now
I did
Not just
I
water.
looked it up.
Water won't do it.
That's what I'm thinking, so I gotta let her know, because she
Yeah,
thinks she's
yeah,
saving
that's not good.
dozens of eggs in water.
Well, it'll last longer than having to sit out on the shelf.
Yeah, in your refrigerator.
But
I don't know
if you
if-
don't, but because the air can't get to it, so
Right.
you can still grow bacteria in the water. This prevents any bacteria from growing on anything, and it seals that membrane around that egg so nothing can get through. So that's why I want to know, how does this stuff work? That's why I looked up about how do you get shelf-stable milk out of a pressure canner? What's the temperature? How does this process work? I want to know how things work. Then once I understand how it works, then I got confidence. Otherwise, I'm taking somebody else's word for something
Right.
that could make me or my family sick. So I want to know, what's the science behind it? How does this work? Why does it work?
Well, I just knew there are a lot of experienced people, and I just thought for her sake, I'd ask that.
Absolutely, that's a great
So
question to ask.
So now I know, I can tell her,
Yeah.
or
Add a hydrated
trade
lime.
you some cherry tomatoes or something. I have some in the car, I gotta go get them.
Well, now, you ain't gonna put no cherry tomatoes in
No,
that.
it's for some of your lime, you said you have plenty of lime.
Oh, no, I'll just give that to you. You don't have to give
No,
me
that's,
that.
that's just a.
Now, there's one thing, if you don't want to water glass, but you want to keep your eggs longer unrefrigerated, you can buy the eggs from Matt, shelf stable, put them in the carton. You can actually stick them in a closet, or as long as you know where you put them, and they will keep for almost 2 months, as long as they're the ones that have just been laid. And they will keep for about 2 months, and then at that point, if you want to put them in the refrigerator, you could do it, and you'll extend that period of time.
But you don't wash them off.
No, never wash them off, not at that point.
Until you're ready to eat them. But what we're trying to accomplish
Unless you're buying a
here,
large quantity.
right, well, what we're trying to accomplish here, remember,
Oh.
this is worst case scenario.
Yeah.
How do I have eggs? Have any of you tried to buy powdered eggs online? Oh my God, they're
Expensive.
like gold. It's astronomically expensive.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh, I hate to hog the time, but there is another way that a couple of the other prepper groups I work with, we take the eggs and scramble them all up, put them in a dehydrator, spread it out, let it dehydrate, dry it out, and then we put it in a blender or something to turn it into powder, and then we make our own powdered eggs.
yeah, you can, but I don't have a dehydrator.
Well, it's just, or you can almost sun dry them, but the dehydrators are cheap. You can buy the little cheap Ronco ones, or you can buy them at yard sales or whatever. They're cheap. But
So you
that,
scramble them up like you're gonna eat them and then.
yeah, scramble them up like you're going to eat them, and then put them in the dehydrator, dry them out, and then you just put them in a blender to pop, to turn it into powder, and then you seal them up or put them in a jar, and they'll keep for indefinitely, and then you can use that for baking or for making scrambled eggs.
I've eaten powdered eggs in the military. I'm not a fan. It's better than no eggs at all.
I'm used to it.
But if you have this kind of egg, you can bake with it. You can have fried eggs. You can have scrambled eggs. You can have poached eggs. You can have hard-boiled eggs. You got powdered eggs. You got powdered eggs. That's
But they're
it.
good to cook with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you cook with the powdered egg, but you can't make scrambled.
Probably
You can't make an
bake
omelet out of it too good. It's not going to work very good to be sunny side up or over easy. And you're not going to be able to use it to make hard-boiled eggs, poached eggs. And you could cook these eggs the same way you would one you just bought from the grocery store after a year and a half. Just use your smell. But if you open it up and it smells funny or it looks funny, don't eat it. What did we do back in the day before they started telling us when our food wasn't any good?
Smell
Does
it.
anybody remember back that far?
Yep.
Huh? What did you do?
Smell
Did
it.
you just grab it out of the refrigerator and start chowing, or did you? Oh, I remember, man, you don't do that. I'm hungry. I got the munchies. Let me see what we got in here. You take the lid off real careful. You look. What's the first thing you look for? Mold. It's got mold in the lid. Is there any mold down there in the strawberry jam?
It's good.
No. Okay. Smells okay. Get the spoon out. Tastes okay. Munch, right? You get a piece of cheese out, and it had a little mold on it. Did you throw the whole chunk of cheese away?
No.
No, what'd you do? Cut the moldy part off. The rest of it's still good. You get the milk out of the refrigerator, you do the sniff test. You take the lid off. that's no good. But you go to pour it out, and it pours out like buttermilk, it's no good. Now, you say, oh, look at the date, the date's good, it must be good. I've had plenty of jugs of milk that the date was still good, and that milk was rotten as can be. And I've had some that was a week past the sell-by date. My wife's having kittens going, you can't use that, it's past the sell-by date. I said, smells good to me,
I know.
tastes fine, and I eat it. I don't get sick. You use your brains. That's what God gave them to you for. Quit trusting in somebody to tell you when it's good and when it ain't. Use your eyes, use your nose, use your taste buds. That's what God gave them to you for. Right, Rick? That's country boy technology. I just threw that one in for free. Now, real quick, I want to go over the last thing. We're going to be running a little over here. And I have to skip making the butter. That was not hard. You take the cream, you put it in a bowl, bring it to room temperature, use a mixer until it all separates. You drain off the buttermilk, you form it up, rinse it a little bit with water until the rest of the buttermilk comes off of it, the water comes out clear, form it up, and you can make a stick of butter. That was it in a hurry.
Well, you must do the candy jar.
I already did a canning jar. Oh, the canning jar. You can make it in a canning jar. You just put it, don't get a jar big enough to where you're only going to fill it halfway full, and then sit in the rocking chair. You shake it like this until your arm falls off. Then you go like this till your wrist falls off. Then you change arms and repeat. Then you pass the jar to your wife and let her do the same thing. Eventually, you'll end up with where the butter separates, you know, the cream separates out from the buttermilk, and then you just drain off the buttermilk, and there's the butter. I mean, it's not hard to do.